It's Slate Night, the Film Fan Podcast. Now, here are your hosts, Corey and Mason.
Hello and welcome to Slate Night, the Film Fan Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Mason Schmidt, here with my best bud, Corey Knudsen.
Hey,
we're going to talk about movies, new releases, what we've seen lately, movie news, physical media roundup, all that stuff. We do the same shit every week, so if you've watched us once, you know what we're going to do. Corey, how have you been, and what are we going to drink today?
got a little mango blonde. You have a spotted cow also.
I was cleaning out my fridge a little bit.
Yeah.
Also,
in your Stein, we mango blonde liquid, but then last week we actually... The clarification there. Last week we had an extra PBR, and we decided to put it in the ice cube tray to see what would happen.
Beer doesn't freeze well, like fully, so it's kind of slush. Also, we had individually an ice cube of the PBR before recording, and before I even made this, or after I made this. So I really sowed my fate with this glass of 3 ice cubes of PBR and a mango blonde. Then we tried the ice cubes, and it tasted so sour. And it tasted like whiskey, and it tasted like feet.
Yeah.
Not good.
Tasted like I licked a hospital floor.
Yeah.
And that's what you're drinking
right
now?
Chemically.
Yeah.
It smells like Goo Gone right now.
So we dumped the other ones in the sink. So you're going to suffer through that.
Yeah, I'm going to add a spotted cow into this in a little bit.
Oh, good. That's good stuff.
Which is fine. I'm a little hungover. I had not a big drinking day. I feel like once you hit 25, like 2 beers and a mixed drink, I'm fucked. So I've had a headache all weekend. And now I'm going to have more of a headache continuing on with this weird concoction that I'm going to throw out myself.
I'm also a little hungover. Yeah. Not too bad. I was at a wedding yesterday. My buddy from college, Chris, got married to Molly yesterday. Congrats to them. It was a lot of fun. I think I had like 5 or 6 whiskey cokes.
Your alcohol tolerance is stammering.
5 or 6 of them, and then
drove home.
Quiet.
Who drove out of you and Cal? Or did you guys drive there with Sid?
No, we got back. Then I had a screwdriver and then a 24-ounce twisted tea. I had part of a grape ape slushy type thing.
Was it an open bar?
Yeah.
Oh.
And then I had some pure rain vodka, just straight up. Had some Ciroc.
What was the pepper vodka you talked about?
The hot pepper vodka. It's like a Hot Ones flavored vodka. Awful. Do not try it.
Don't want that feeling, that sensation when I'm already drinking vodka, which I don't like vodka, and if alcohol's going to burn me on the way down, I don't want it to be spicy too. I think I'd throw up. And that's coming from someone that likes Bloody Marys and shit. I can do spicy liquor, but just straight vodka with spice sounds like hell on earth.
Yeah, we were just ripping shots of that.
That's disgusting.
My buddy Cal, he brought 3 bottles of vodka for one night that we were staying there. So you know what? If you know Cal, you know that's perfect.
Very accurate. Yeah, that is him to a T.
So, all things considered, I'm not that hungover, but a little hair of the dog is nice. Anyways, getting into watch week, I had a fun little week of taking a trip down memory lane with the Tron movies. Starting off with the original movie from 1982. I'd actually never seen this one before. I think you had seen it, right? Mm-hmm. And I had always heard things about it, but this is unlike anything I've ever watched before. This is just a wild movie.
It's very special in that way.
It's very charming in a certain way because the techniques that they use for this movie are very interesting to read about. It was cool to just see all the how they filmed the actors, backlighting them, and then the 8 layers of film that they used, and all the compositing and the high contrast film they were using was very cool. Didn't turn out looking that good.
I'm sure at the time it was probably cool, and it's still really it's looked at as being a landmark for visual effects storytelling. But watching it now, it's just
very dated, very dated. But do have to give it props for being pioneering in a certain sense. Mm-hmm. And even the Academy that year, they nominated the movie for Best Costume Design and Sound, but not for visual effects because they said using a computer was cheating for visual effects, which is funny.
All what it is now.
Yeah. So, very interesting movie to watch for sure. Essentially follows Jeff Bridges, who plays Kevin Flynn. He's a computer hacker who, one of the heads of a company stole his ideas, and so he's trying to go into the computer to find the files that prove they're his, with the help from a couple other people. And all of the Tron movies, we're going to mention it, they're not really, heavy on the story.
No.
It's pretty base level. And the characters also, even Jeff Bridges is not much to him. He's just kind of there. Charming and fun still, but not much to his character. Really just a kind of slow slog through this really weird world where it's actors and some scenes are like they're filmed in black and white, so they have a weird hue to them.
Yeah.
And then it cuts to like a fully like digital light cycle race, and then it cuts back to an actor in the light cycle. It's just a weird thing.
It's very choppy in the edit too. Like there's no like transitional moments. It's just now we're here and we're in a light cycle. Now it's just like a weird like 2D, almost barely 3D animated light cycle going down a track.
Yep.
And like it's trying to have intense action, which at the time it could have been really like, whoa, this is revolutionary and this is cool and it's riveting and intense. But looking at it now, it's like they're moving at like 2 miles per hour. They're just somewhat sidestepping each other and trying to cut each other off. And I'm like, none of this. Like, again, the layer of charm on this movie kind of helps smooth out some of those edges and having that little bit of kind of forgiveness of, this is a movie from the 80s. It's also, like, it was monumental in the development of this technology and stuff was used later in Pixar movies. And, like, it's cool. Yes, it's great and it's important, but it doesn't always hold up the most. And that's not to say that it's bad. It's just that doesn't stand the test of time, and that's fine. It's still, like, looked at as being a sci-fi classic, but story is kind of nothing, and the visual effects are kind of slow and clunky, and it's cool what they went for, but I'm like, it's not giving me what I want.
Yeah, the best thing that this movie did is introduce the world of it.
The grid
of the grid, which it's interesting that the franchise is called Tron, because
it's just this dude.
It's a side character, a program that a side character makes in the first movie that ends up kind of being important. We'll get into how they use Tron in the other movies, but it's like, in my head, I'd always thought the world of Tron, and that's what it was called.
Yeah.
It's not. It's just the side characters program, which is funny.
And I get that. That's what the in-universe game is called, too, right? Isn't it called So, like, I get that, too, but why is that then called Tron? Still, like, in-world, why is that called Tron?
No idea. I mean, it's a cool name, so it's like I get why they chose
it. That's kind of a nitpick thing, but, like, what the fuck are we doing
here?
Yeah,
I kind of forgot how little Tron is actually
in
a big
Tron,
part of this. Yeah. But the best thing that this movie did is lay the foundation for this world. The idea of going into the grid and like the light cycles and the recognizer ships, like the big M-looking ones, are really cool. All the like discs.
The way they fly though in this movie is just so funny to me because it's just a big fucking upside down U just slowly like just panning across screen. I'm like, okay,
just like right turns exclusively. And they also, like, when they were filming actors in all this, like, in the grid, they couldn't move the camera, so it was just locked in place. So everything's very stagnant and kind of doesn't have a lot of flow to it. But the world is cool. I mean, I like the identity discs and, like, the little games that they have, like, throwing it up on top and the rings around them.
The, like, hooked, like... The thing where they, like, toss things back. Like, I played that on, like, a beach when I was a kid. Like, I don't even know what the... Like, watching that, I was like, what the fuck are we doing in this movie? Like, what... Is this a game? Are we competing?
They just had some Frisbees and those fuckers laying around.
They're like, we're just gonna wrap this in reflective tape, and it's gonna look great.
I mean, that's the best thing that this movie does, is introduce that world and the kind of foundational, like, tools that these characters use, and the aesthetic and the vibe of Tron. It's present here, but... I think it's fully realized in its sequel, Tron Legacy, which came out in 2010. I'd only seen this movie one other time, and I think it was probably in 2010 or 11. I remember very specifically going to my cabin up in Brainerd, and there was a Cashwise video store nearby. So I went there, and my parents got me Tron Legacy and I Am Number 4, and I watched those two movies back to back.
Very 2011 movies.
Yeah, just like in the fall, I think. So like around this time, probably 15 years ago, that I saw the movie for the first time. But rewatched it this past week, and I love this movie.
Oh, yeah.
I think it is so good and very underrated. I mean, the main thing everyone talks about is the score.
Oh,
or Clue.
I didn't know if to go the negative or the positive route.
We'll go positive first. The score from Daft Punk is fucking awesome.
Perfect.
I've never really listened to much of Daft Punk outside of this movie and like when they feature on some songs or whatever. I listen to the score so much. Like, it flows so well with each other. The techno, synth, 80s vibe to it, keeping that legacy of the original Tron alive through the score. The visual effects look great. And like I said, it kind of is able to fully realize what the original wanted to do, but just couldn't because of the limitations. Here, everything looks great. I mean, we talk about it all the time how like early 2010s VFX look great and hold up now.
Yeah.
But in that same vein, Jeff Bridges as Clue, who is
Rogue program.
Yeah, Jeff Bridges, the kind of story of this one is he goes missing, and you find out that he created this rogue program called Clue to kind of watch over the grid when he wasn't there, but then he gets sucked into it, kind of captured there, and isn't able to leave. And they did a de-aging thing, a very early example of de-aging in 2010, and it doesn't look good at all. Yeah. It is smooth. He kind of looks like Bill Maher a bit.
It does, yeah. Because I feel like a lot of the scenes or a lot of the shots of him, there's not a lot of like shadow or like they don't shoot him in like complete darkness. Or I feel like they probably just were like trying to figure out how to do this and they didn't know. Like maybe we try and hide it with like low camera or low lighting and stuff like that. But because like he has no eyebrows and his forehead is just white. Like he does look like Bill Maher, and I'm like, whoa, like. And then you get a lot of the facial movement, and it's just kind of gummy and like lifeless, and it's just
there's no like pores or anything like a human face that you would normally see. So that is the one big standout negative in this movie for me. It's just very noticeable, and he's in the movie quite a bit, so it kind of draws your attention to it every time.
Yeah, there's a scene towards the end where he's like yelling to like a group.
Yeah,
he's like he's summoning everyone. He's rallying the troops, and it's just him. Well lit and his just gummy ass face just trying its best, and he has like it's almost like he has no eyelids too. It's kind of jarring. I've seen this movie twice. The first time I saw it, I was like, it's not that like I can smooth over it. Like it's fine. I'll let it blend into the background, kind of like Tarkin in Rogue One. Like that works enough for me. I can do the same with Clue. And then on a rewatch, I was like, no, that's hard to do again. Like I can't. Like, and I still love this movie, but it's that is. I think you and I might have somewhat of a hot take of this franchise, where a lot of people herald the first one as being a classic and being great, and a lot of people have a lot of love for it, whether they grew up with it or not. I think Tron Legacy, like you, is easily what the first movie set out to do, but it does it. It achieves it. It does it better, and it has stood the test of time, aside from Clue. Yeah. So I'm like, I love this movie. The soundtrack is a character in and of itself, and like just them going and seeing Michael Sheen? Mm-hmm. That sequence of that club, that party, and that the score bumping in that scene is so good. So this movie is fantastic.
The end of line club, it's so good. But yeah, I mean, it's just everything. This movie has a really good flow to it. Like it doesn't take a long time to get into it. You kind of get the flashback initially, and then you just get Garrett Hedlund kind of sucked into the world of Tron. Or as the caravan of garbage guys say, get sucked off in the laser.
The laser sucks me off.
The suck-off laser. But speaking of Garrett Hedlund, he's not bad in this movie.
No.
Like, he's kind of in that same, like, Sam Worthington, Jai Courtney, Charlie Hunnam, like, Hollywood wanted to make him the star, and then they were in some projects that didn't do quite that good. I think he's pretty good. I like him. I like Olivia Wilde in this movie. She plays an ISO, which is kind of this program that birthed out of the grid, which I think that's a really cool idea that they introduced in this movie. And there is a lot of, like, with Jeff Bridges' character of Kevin Flynn, like some God and Jesus and Satan mythology with, like, you know, Jeff Bridges' character is God, and then his creation is Satan, and, like, these ISOs come about, kind of human beings, and the Satan character gets jealous and tries to take over. So there's some nice stuff in this movie in that regard. Again, it's not, like, crazy character depth. It's not a super crazy story, but
it's pretty generic. It's a man looking for his father, and he throws himself into what his father was working on, and through that finds his dad. And it you can say that complaint, I think, about all of these movies, but that, again, you're not going to a Tron movie for story depth. You're not looking for Shakespeare. You want, like, a visual and massive auditory experience, and you get that with specifically Legacy and Ares, I think, not so much. You get a lot of, like, the attempt of it in the first Tron, but I don't think the story is ever what you're really going for. And, like, seeing a lot of the critiques of these movies, and specifically the new one, I'm like, what did you guys expect? What did you want from this? And, like, not that you should have an expectation that the story is good. I think this one, it's serviceable, it works, and I like the characters. I was rooting for them, and I feel like some people go in with kind of interesting expectations for these movies when they all are kind of the same. Yeah. And that's coming from someone who really likes these movies. So I'm like, it's surprising to me when people are kind of downtrodden about, it's kind of a bad story. I'm like, what the fuck did you want? I'm here for some
sweet light cycle.
Yeah, like, shut the fuck up. Like, don't be such a nerd about it. Like, just let's watch a movie.
The Tron movies, for sure, are a lot about just the vibe that they set
Oh, yeah.
with the visuals, with the concept, and with the score for sure. Tron Legacy also nominated for an Oscar Best Sound Editing. Sound is fucking great in this movie. Anytime, like especially in the light cycle chases when somebody like gets de-rezzed and they like break into pieces, just like all those sound effects are great. So I love this movie. On a rewatch, I was just like having such a good time with it, and it just cruises by. I think it's about 2 hours, but I was like, man, I could watch another 2 hours of this movie. So a lot of fun. Leads us into Tron Ares, which came out 15 years later, and it's directed by Joachim Ronning. Oh, actually, I forgot to mention, Joseph Kosinski directed Tron Legacy. I want to mention he does a great job with Legacy sequels. Top Gun Maverick, Tron Legacy. Oblivion, another sci-fi movie. Like I love,
very underrated.
Love Joko, F1 from earlier this year. Very good director. So the new one, getting back to that, Joachim Ronning directed it. Like I said last week, I know him from Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Men Tell No Tales. Not a great movie, but he's worked with Disney before on a couple other things.
Is that the fifth one?
The fifth one,
with Javier Bardem? I have seen that one.
Yeah,
and, is it what? Strangers Tide is the fourth one. That one I haven't seen. Yeah. Is that one okay?
I like that one more. It's kind of nostalgic. It was like 2011, so I liked it.
In that one.
But yeah, so it comes from him in the director's chair. You got Jared Leto, I guess, starring in the lead role, kind of. Greta Lee is kind of the co-lead here. Essentially, two rival companies. We had Encom, who Jeff Bridges was with. That company gets taken over by Greta Lee and her sister. And then we have the Dillinger family, which has been present throughout the other movies. And Evan Peters has kind of taken over. And he's created this new program called Ares, who is like a digital soldier he's trying to work on to get sent to the real world and be this dispensable soldier that can fight for people. And already there, like I like the setup of that. Two warring companies trying to fight over kind of the weaponization of AI and this technology. And again, like this movie's just pretty fun. I think it has a good balance of giving you fun action within the grid and also bringing it to the real world. They could have had the danger of doing all of it in the real world, kind of like they teased in the trailer, I feel like.
Yeah.
But you do get some, like, a lot of back and forth, actually, where they, like, go from the grid back to there, back to there, back to there, like, jumping in. So I thought that was fun. Jared Leto's not bad. I mean, all the characters in this movie, the actors' performances are fine. I think the score by Nine Inch Nails, you know, they couldn't get Daft Punk back. I don't know what they're doing, but
I think they broke up.
Oh, did they?
Again, I'm not a Daft Punk fan either, but I'm pretty sure that they don't make music together anymore, which is like maybe why they couldn't. I'm guessing. Again, I don't know them, but this is an awesome backup. If Nine Inch Nails is your backup, hell yeah,
that's a great one.
Yeah, they are. The score in this movie, I think, I really love the Daft Punk one in Tron Legacy, and you and I were talking before this that it's easy to listen to that one outside of the movie and be like, this is an awesome score. And it works. Whereas Ares and the Nine Inch Nails score, it kind of serves the movie more, and it's hard to listen to it void the movie or outside of the movie. But I do think that it works so well as an undercurrent throughout the movie. Yeah. There's a couple of scenes where I'm like, I remember just the score seeping in, and then the visuals just take away, and it's just mind-melting shit. And it's every time we get a Tron sequel, which I hope we continue to get more, I'm like, they've continued to develop what they've set out to do with the first one, with the visuals, but also, like, I feel like there is a good attempt in this film to tie back in with some of the things that they introduced in that first one and develop it with the technology today to represent it in a way where it's like, oh, that big CGI face that's talking to Ares, that is Evan Peters in the grid. We had that somewhat established in the first Tron, but it's just obviously not as, like, cleaned up and not as solidified, so we don't really get a good representation of that. And I thought it was really cool how well this film has kind of worked back within its own franchise to slowly, pad out, build out this world and fully realize it. So this movie, the story is kind of, I think the story is interesting enough for what this story needs or for what this movie needs. And it works well. My biggest kind of, was the director and also Jared Leto. Because I'm like, Jared Leto, when you lead movies, it's Morbius or it's, what the fuck? Actually, I was going to say Dallas Buyers Club, which is really good. He's great in that.
Yeah.
But I was kind of like anxious about seeing him in this movie because I'm like, I like you in Blade Runner 2049, but it's a very small role and you're just doing your weird shtick. Mm-hmm. Are you gonna be doing your weird shtick here? To a degree, he's kind of like one-dimensional and kind of flat, but that is his character and it works well within this movie. So he won me over. I dug the fuck out of this movie. I remember thinking and looking at who stars in this movie. Cameron Monaghan is also in this film for like a second.
Very briefly.
And I was like, I remember when this movie got announced and he got attached, I was like, oh, he's going to be the lead. And then he is in it for 5 seconds. It is a glimpse and he's gone thing. And I was like, okay, that's interesting to use him in that way, which is not like the biggest name of the cast, but I was like, you're substantial. You could do something cool here.
No, I really dug this movie, man. It's again, just a really good vibe of just like, you get the good score, you get the good visuals. I love the red and black aesthetic here.
Yeah.
Like
it's just
even
clean.
Yeah, even like driving home, I saw it like kind of in the evening, and then just like seeing the taillights in front of me like red and the black. Mm-hmm. Like I'll kind of always think of Tron Ares when I see that now for a weird reason. So I just like the look of everything. I think there's a lot of fun action in this movie. You get, like I said, kind of a good balance of grid and on the real world. I think my biggest things aside from like the characters and story, again, not being that deep or anything substantial, they don't really follow up on a lot of stuff set up in Tron Legacy.
Yeah.
Which, like I mentioned, the ISOs that were kind of born out of that, like there's no mention of them. Like obviously Garrett Hedlund and Olivia Wilde aren't in this movie.
Both acknowledged in the movie.
Yeah, we get a little
Lightly.
hint towards the end. And there is a mid-credits scene, too, that plays pretty early, so...
that's the Evan Peters one,
yep.
right? Yeah, okay.
Yep,
I was like, I don't know if I missed it or not, because I heard about it afterwards, but I was like, is it an after-credit scene, or is it like right in the credits, like mid-credit scene?
Just the one mid-credits, so you don't have to stick to the end if you don't want to, unless you want to listen to the score, which I would recommend.
It's awesome.
But yeah, they just don't really follow up on a lot of that stuff, and even at the end of Tron Legacy, when they, like... Olivia Wilde's character of Cora comes out of the digital world into the real world. So we it felt like it would have been a natural bridge to like what this movie was doing. Just a little strange that they didn't incorporate that a little bit more. But like I said, I enjoyed the story enough. I think the characters and story worked well for what this movie needed. It's a fun time. The sound is great. I would love to see that nominated for an Oscar. I think it would be awesome to score too, like we mentioned. So... good time. Also, we mentioned the character of Tron and the namesake of the franchise. Tron's not in this movie.
No, he's not.
First Tron movie that he's not there, so...
I like you, really dug this movie. I went in kind of with middling expectations just because I feel like a lot of the reviewers that I watch and a lot of the reception of it has been kind of like, it's fine. But also, you look at any of the Tron movies, like, they all have somewhat similar Rotten Tomato scores. I'm like, okay, so can we all acknowledge that they're roughly all the same? This movie, like, I thoroughly enjoyed. I was entertained throughout. The only thing that frustrated me throughout this movie is that they establish early on this mechanic of the story of these bots or these Tron Ares, like these programs, when they're brought into the real world, they only have 29 minutes of sustainable life before they degrade. And the whole thing is Evan Peters and his company trying to figure out a way past that 29 minutes. How can we get these things to stay and be permanent? And they established that 29-minute shot clock basically early on, and they use it throughout the story, but it felt like they really just used that 29 minutes, like it always came to fruition, or they started degrading when the plot needed them to degrade, not when actually 29 minutes would go by. And I feel like it's a common thing that frustrates me in movies when they establish like a ticking clock or a bomb's about to go off. And you show the shot clock or the bomb clock and it says 5 minutes, and then like 20 minutes of the movie happens, and then they show a shot back and they're like 45 seconds left. I'm like, how the fuck does that happen? There's just a couple of times where I'm like, if you're going to introduce that mechanic, then fully like follow through with that mechanic and do it naturally and let it fit within the story. So there's sometimes where, especially towards the end, there's kind of somewhat of a climactic battle where I'm like, you should be gone and you should probably be gone and you guys probably had to like reset and come back here. But that's kind of like, for this movie, I feel like it is kind of a nitpick thing just because I went for an enjoyable time and it gave it to me in spades and I really had a great time at the theaters. And there are like couples around me that like the guy was excited to see Tron and the girlfriend was not, and the guy was like explaining to them what's going on and why it matters. I'm like, I like that this has developed now into a franchise where it's like, I hope we get a sequel because I like where this movie went and I like where they could potentially go down the line. So, and maybe you work Garrett Hedlund back in, or Olivia Wilde, or whatever.
I'd be down.
And I'd be down for a sequel, especially, like, I think they've found their formula for it. Not that, I feel like whenever you say a movie franchise has a formula, it sounds like a bad thing. I think for this, it works. Like, Tron Legacy has a form, like, they established the formula, they polished it from the original. Ares still works within that, but they keep branching out, and I'm like, I like where we're going. So I'd happily take a fourth Tron movie. I liked this movie enough to where I'm like, I might go see it again in theaters just because it's such a fun experience to see on the big screen and see it in IMAX. I've heard also seeing it in 3D was really good from a couple of reviewers that I follow, but I'm not a big 3D person. Fuck it, maybe I'll try that. Don't know.
Yeah, could be fun. Also, a fun little throwback to the original Tron movie in this movie.
Oh.
A short little sequence that isn't too, like, for me, it wasn't too much of, like, nostalgia bait or anything. It was just, like, a nice little, like, we need to do this thing before we can do the final thing. We have to do this.
Yeah,
and it's just a nice little callback, and I enjoyed it.
I really dug that. I was like, this is so fucking cool. And you get, like, a couple of, like, the 80s. And I'm just like, that's cool. I like that there's, like, they do a good job of addressing the original Tron within this movie. And I'm like, okay, good. Tron Legacy, you get that because it's obviously the follow-up, but this one, they still make that first movie relevant to this one, and I really appreciated that.
Yeah, it was a fun little Tron watch through this week, even though I didn't love that first movie. Just, again, the kind of importance of it was cool. And then, I love Legacy, and Ares was a nice addition. I'm down to see if they want to do something else. I hope the movie does well, because I actually really enjoyed it.
Which Tron movie do you think has the best Jeff Bridges performance?
I think Legacy.
Yeah.
I mean, that's my favorite. I would go Legacy, Ares, and then the original. I don't know. What's your ranking?
I'd probably agree. It's more of a toss-up between the original and Ares just because he's not in Ares a whole lot, but he's great in what he is, and his character, I don't think it's fan service. I think he works perfectly within the story to be there. But you get more of him in Legacy, and I think they have more depth to him and that connection to his son, so... This is kind of like the Jeff Bridges sci-fi franchise, and I'm like, all right, I like that he's still around. Like, I'd fucking make a couple more while he's still around and kicking and get Kevin Flynn still in this movie.
Yeah, I would love it. So, another new release that I saw this week, which is in limited release right now. It's coming to Netflix on October 24th, but I would highly recommend seeing it in theaters. It's A House of Dynamite from Catherine Bigelow. She's obviously done Hurt Locker, Zero Dark 30, and Detroit in recent years. One of my favorite 90s movies in Point Break. That movie's fucking awesome. But House of Dynamite is about a missile that is launched at the United States. It's going to hit Chicago. And you see all these different situation rooms and like missile defense rooms trying to figure out how they're going to stop this missile from hitting the United States. And the cast for this movie is insane. There's so many people. Kind of the big ones, Idris Elba plays the president. Great choice. Like, that's fucking perfect.
Yeah.
Rebecca Ferguson is one of the big players in this movie. You also get Jared Harris, Tracy Letts, Anthony Ramos, Moses Ingram, Jonah Hauer-King, Greta Lee. So big week for Greta Lee. Two big
Angel
movies.
Reese?
Angel Reese is in the movie. Yeah, she's there. Very small thing. Which
I just heard about that and I was like, okay.
Yeah. It's a loaded cast. Any scene you're going to have an A-lister there. But I love this movie. This is one of my favorites of the year. It's absolutely in my top 10, probably in my top like 5 or 6. Catherine Bigelow just in recent years has done such a good job with these like quasi-political thrillers, if you want to call them that.
Military thriller, political.
Yeah, however you want to categorize them. But this movie has so much good tension built up because it is kind of like a ticking clock, like you mentioned, but in a different sense where they're like, all right, we have 19 minutes until this nuke is going to hit the United States. And you see this situation room in the White House, and they're just fielding calls from different countries like, is it Russia? Is it China? They said it wasn't them. They said it wasn't them. And they're trying to talk to the president, talk to the Secretary of Defense, and all these different players. And then the first act ends, and then it starts to go into the second. And I wasn't sure if I liked how the movie was structured. Mm-hmm. Because I didn't know that's how it was structured. I don't want to spoil it really, but once it kept going, and then it does it again for the third act, it does a great job of showing different perspectives and different points of view, and making lines of dialogue that you heard earlier that didn't seem that important. You hear them and see them later, where it's like, oh wow, okay, this means something different. Because they were just on a Zoom call in the background when they said that line. Mm-hmm. But you see it later, and you hear this person and what they were going through in that time. So, really cool structurally. I think it worked really well.
Can I ask you how it's structured? Because I think I have an idea.
I'll tell you after. I don't want to.
Yeah,
I don't want to say
that's
now.
fine. I'll do that.
I mean, you could probably gather it from how I'm explaining it, but I like going in. I didn't know that, so I don't want to like ruin it for anybody. If it was just fun to discover that kind of. But there's so many great scenes in this movie where it's all these like military and government professionals that like Jared Harris and Rebecca Ferguson have two of my favorite scenes in the movie, where they have to be composed, and there's people that are looking up to them to make big decisions in the span of like 15 minutes, and they're getting calls from their family, and they're talking to either their kids or their husband or whoever, and they like hang up the phone after talking with them, and they just like turn away, and they're just like in tears.
Yeah.
But then people are like, what do we do? Like a missile's coming to the United States.
They're like, I have a responsibility as a parent.
Yeah.
But I get that I have to do something here.
They're like, we have to lock in right now. We have to make these decisions. So like, there's also a very, let's say, memorable scene with Jared Harris that has stuck with me. Just thinking about it even now. So this is another win for Catherine Bigelow. I love this movie. The score is really good. During the movie, I was like, man, this kind of sounds like hints of All Quiet on the Western Front. And then I saw in the credits Volkar Bertelmann did the score for both movies. So I was like, okay, well, that makes sense. Really good. And I think the ending to this movie is perfect. I think a lot of people are going to be like, what the fuck? Like, no, that's not how I wanted this to end. I thought it was incredible and left me like maybe my favorite ending in the year. I really dug what they did with this movie. It's just a tight political thriller, kind of set in like these different 4 or 5 situation rooms and these different characters. It never gets too messy, which is nice because that's a worry with a movie like this where you have too many, irons in the fire. I don't think it does that at all. I would love to see this movie get nominated for a lot of Oscars, but I fear it's going to be like a September 5th from last year where it gets maybe a screenplay.
Yeah.
And it's tough when there's so many performances. It's kind of hard to pick out who to nominate or who to, put the backing behind. So this one was a massive win for me. Like I said, it's in limited release now. See it in theaters. I can't imagine watching this at home on a TV for the first time because, again, the sound is really good in this movie. So definitely check out House of Dynamite if you have not even heard of it or if you haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, I am really excited for this movie. 1, because it's Catherine Bigelow. 2, it also caught me completely by surprise because I forgot that it was coming out limited release this week. And then I looked at the show notes and you had it on there. I was like, fuck, he saw it already? I'm immediately jealous of you for watching it. So I'm, if not, maybe even later tonight, maybe tomorrow, I'll try and see if my wife wants to go, but I'm really excited to go see this. Jared Harris is like an actor I feel like I didn't have much exposure to, and then Chernobyl came out, and I love that limited series. It's one of my favorites, and he was sensational in it, and now anything he's in, I'm like, yeah, okay. He adds quality. Like, actors add differing amounts of quality based on their filmography or based on what they bring to the table. Jared Harris is always a step in the right direction in terms of what he's able to bring to the table. Catherine Bigelow. I feel like we talked about Zero Dark 30 maybe last week when we talked about House of Dynamite. I mentioned that I don't know if I'd seen a previous movie of hers in theaters. I remember seeing now Zero Dark 30 because I found the ticket I have
nice.
of it. So I saw Zero Dark 30 in theaters in Rogers at one of our favorite theaters, but I'm so heavily anticipating this. I think I kind of, based on what you shared a little bit about the story and the structure, I'm like, I think I might know where it's going, or at least how it's laid out. And I like what that could bring from me, especially since a lot of Catherine Bigelow's stories, they do sometimes play with the structure, at least in like the Hurt Locker a little bit. You get a little bit more of like the augmented or like sectioned off chapters, and Detroit, you get a lot of interesting perspective shifts. I'm really excited for this movie. I can't wait to see it. Tracy Letts is also another actor that I really love. I think he was in Ford v Ferrari as well.
Lady Bird.
Yeah, in Lady Bird. I really like him. So I'm so sold on this movie. I can't wait to see it. It's going to be as soon as possible for me that I can, because I want to catch this one in theaters. For this to be like a Netflix original or coming to Netflix, I'm like, God damn, can we give it a full theatrical run, please?
Yeah.
Because especially with like all the awards buzz that's been surrounding it, I'm like, this deserves it. Let's let it play in theaters. It's going to help you later on. So
Also a great title.
House of Dynamite, yeah,
So cool.
I'm super excited. It's also Noah Oppenheim, who wrote he wrote some bad movies, but he also wrote Jackie, which is a movie I really love. So I'm really invested in kind of what the story's going to be. it sounds like a pretty not generic, but a simple premise, and I'm interested to just see some of my favorite actors working today unpacking that and trying to find a solution out of it. So I'm really interested in that, and I can't wait to see it. I don't know if we talked about it last week. We might have mentioned that it was coming to streaming this past week. But a documentary that I made sure to watch this past week was John Candy, I Like Me, which is a perfect title for a documentary about John Candy. It's directed by Colin Hanks, son of Tom Hanks. He's also, I think he did Empire Records. He did another documentary before, so he's an experienced documentarian. It features every actor you would think to see in terms of their relationship to John Candy, and like you get Dan Aykroyd, you get Bill Murray, you get Paul Martin, Steve Martin, which is a callback to a joke from when I was like, yep, Corey's gonna be my best friend in like 7th grade. You get Steve Martin. It's a movie that you can kind of gather if it's going to be about John Candy, it's going to be about his career and about his life, and his life being cut short. He was only, I think, 43 when he passed in 1994. But this covers his kind of iconic run, also just who he was as a human being. This movie like choked me up a lot just because I feel like there's another documentary called I Am Chris Farley, and then you get this one with John Candy. My dad, who passed away when I was young, was a big, he loved comedians. Like, we had so many VHSs that were taped over with like SNL, like from specific days because Bill Murray was on, or like certain people were on. He loved John Candy and he loved Chris Farley, and that's like, I didn't know my dad a whole lot, and the thing that I like collectively like assume of my dad was that, oh, he loved these funny people, therefore he was also probably hilarious, which everyone tells me he was. But there is a really touching moment that happens very early in this documentary, which I think is framed really well because we start with his funeral, and you get a little bit of the eulogies from his funeral from Dan Aykroyd and stuff like that, and it's very effective and it works really well. But you also get in like, I think the first 10 minutes, his son being like, people ask me all the time what role of his was the most like him in real life, and he's like, I don't know. He's like, when you lose a parent or a father early on in life, you're kind of doing like backwards detective work of trying to figure out who they were based on what people tell you and how they acted around people. And in that moment, I was like, fuck, this is going to work on me. This is going to hit me hard. This whole movie, it's an hour and 53 minutes, which I was like, a documentary about a guy for an hour and 50. I'm like, that might be long, even though this is a person I'm excited to hear about and watch. And I love, that might be long. And it never dragged, and I think it does a great job of, he has so many iconic things he did in film. He also had something that was unbeknownst to me, his influence and interactions with a Canadian football team with Wayne Gretzky, and I was like, I didn't know anything about that. So there's good nuggets of information of not just his filmography, and you also get, like, obviously the touch of his family talking about him, and like, he was just a good guy. Like, he just set out to, if he was in a room with people, he was going to give everyone their moment. And I was like, that's insane. And being able to see legends like Steve Martin and Bill Murray be like, this was the funniest man I ever met. And it's overwhelming. It's very tastefully done too. I like the framing of it. Tom Hanks is in it because you do get a couple really good, obviously he worked in Splash with Tom Hanks, John Candy did, and you get a lot of good scenes throughout his filmography that really just harkens back to who he was as a performer and as a person, and it just rings true throughout the whole documentary. So it's a really touching documentary. It's on Amazon Prime or Amazon Prime Video. Definitely watch it. It's worth your time, especially if you're an 80s movie fan. They do circle around like the John Hughes era of John Candy, where it's like he had his stride of movies, and you get like some touching things said by like Macaulay Culkin about John Candy. So it's a great documentary. I really loved it. It's gonna play on like any sort of heartstrings you're expecting it to play on. It will play on those, but it plays it well. So it's worth your time. Check it out. It's on streaming, so it's easy to access.
This is one I'm definitely gonna check out. Just busy time of year, a lot of stuff coming out. So I love John Candy. Whether you kind of know him just from like Home Alone and Uncle Buck maybe, which I love that movie, or just a lot of his other history and just comedy. Truly one of the funniest people, and it's so sad that 43 years old that we lost him.
Yeah. Have you ever seen one of my underrated, I think, favorite of his films is The Great Outdoors. Have you
Yes,
seen?
I love The
fucking
Great
love
Outdoors.
that movie. My family went camping a lot as kids, and we'd also watch that movie a lot. Which it's about a family going to like stay in a cabin, and Dan Aykroyd's there as like a schmoozhy little fucking shitty brother-in-law, and just all this stuff back and forth between these two families that don't really have a lot in common. And I love John Candy, and in that movie, I see a lot of like what I remember of my dad, and I'm like, oh, this movie really highlights a person that I loved in John Candy, and I'm so lucky that I have his filmography to go back on and to know this, have this kind of deep dive into his back history and his life, but also like the great moments that I get to have with my family and get to think about and like ponder about like this is the way this man Christopher Candy, his John Candy's son, is talking about his dad is the way I think about my dad. So I'm like it was such a good touching experience, so I would definitely recommend it.
Yeah, I mean that's the great thing about movies, documentaries, shows is like the personal connection there, and where it hits you, it hits different people in different areas. So I'm glad that it worked for you. I'm very excited to check it out eventually, and hopefully get some Oscar buzz and other award stuff. I would love to see that get nominated, even though I haven't seen it yet.
This could be almost nothing that I'm talking about here, and I didn't do any like back searching or any like research on this to verify. There is a song towards the end of the documentary that my wife was in the room, and a singer started singing, and I don't recognize the song as being like something that's played before. I feel it could be original for this movie. Again, I didn't do any research on this, but it sounded like Cynthia Erivo. And if it was Cynthia Erivo, this is one of the best songs I've ever heard in a documentary. And it's just towards the end kind of memorializing John Candy. I was like, it gave me chills, and it's such a good song. So keep your ear open if you do watch this and you get towards the end. There's going to be a song that kind of sparks in, and I'm like, oh my God. Like, I was like, is it? Like, we both looked at each other, I'm like, is this Cynthia Erivo? Because lady's got pipes. She can sing for days. So really good documentary, and possibly a really good Cynthia Erivo. So I'm going to look that up so I know for sure, so I can give someone their flowers if it's Cynthia Erivo or not. But yeah, it's great.
Moving into some Halloween October stuff. Every October for the past few years, I've wanted to watch through a horror franchise that I've only seen maybe a couple movies in or none at all. So last few years gone through Halloween, Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday the 13th, kind of the big three. And this year started to go through the Texas Chainsaw Massacre movies this week. So I watched the first two this week. And did you find the song thing?
So it is it's a cover, but it is Cynthia Erivo, and it's a cover of the song Every Time You Go Away, which is a song I don't have much exposure to. I don't think I've really ever heard it, or at least I didn't take notice of it until Cynthia Erivo was singing it, because it's so well done. So yeah, it was Cynthia Erivo. It's a great song, and when it pops up in the movie, give it a listen. Sad that it's not like an original song, because I was like, immediately when I heard it, I was like, best original song at the Oscars, please? Like, come on.
Maybe she'll perform it still. That'd be cool.
I'd be all for it. It'd probably be more likely Wicked for Good, but if they wanted to do this song instead, I'd be all there for it.
But yeah, back to Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It was fun kind of starting my dive into this franchise. The original movie came out in 1974, and kind of interesting timing watching this. The new Ed Gein, The Monsters show, came out recently, and I haven't seen that show yet, but I know a lot of like some things about Ed Gein and kind of his influence on horror movies, and the fact that he inspired like Alfred Hitchcock with Psycho, and then also Tobe Hooper with Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Just a lot of the weird, fucked up stuff that Ed Gein was doing. But like I said, Tobe Hooper directed this movie, and it's a very grimy, dirty, gross movie about 5 friends that are in rural Texas who are visiting the grave of their grandfather and kind of some of their family history. And they stumble across this weird little gas station, this deserted house, and they meet some people that are a little maybe cannibalistic, and they got some weird, a little bit. Got some chainsaws, you got some weird shrines in their house, and bones and feathers and all kinds of weird shit around. That's the best thing about this movie. I mean, this is a classic for a reason. The best part of it is that just like the setting of it and the vibe that it sets, kind of in the same way we talked about Tron's vibe. Like, this is very different, obviously, but just you feel dirty watching this movie.
You feel hot, sweaty, and gross, and you cannot eat while watching this. This movie was made in the 70s. It still feels disgusting. Yeah,
they like pick up a hitchhiker at one point, and you're just like, don't let him. He's gross. Don't let him in here. He's weird. I can smell him.
Cut one of the other people are like
he cuts one of them and then he cuts his own hand.
Yeah,
and you're
I'm like, I can feel that through the screen, and this feels way too real.
Absolutely, that's one of the best things. Is like you can like almost smell this movie. You can like feel it. Like you feel gross.
It smells like crotch and heat. Like it smells like humidity and fucking ballsack. Like that's what's going on. Like Leatherface must be having the worst time of his life in that fucking mask. Like that's gonna be pain.
And like reading behind the scenes on this and like how they filmed in Texas during like one of the hottest summers there, like over 100 degrees.
They're like, I got a good idea.
And there's like a dinner scene in this movie that is very memorable towards the end. And
kind of infamous too at this point.
Yeah, there's like 4 main actors there. And they shot that scene. They had to like black out the windows, and that added to the heat in that room. And like reading all the actors were like, I started to feel like my character. Like I wanted to kill this person because we were sweating. We'd been wearing the same clothes, like the same costume for 4 weeks, and it was dirty. It smelled. We all just felt like our characters, and that's something that you would never see now.
It's the best example of unintentional method acting.
Yeah.
They're just like, we're in an actual oven fucking right now.
Yeah, and it's so memorable. It's so gross. But it is such a memorable movie. I've just been thinking about it a lot. It's not quite one like a Halloween or a Nightmare on Elm Street where you toss on for fun at like a Halloween party, or if you just want like an October, like I just need something chill maybe while I'm doing something else. It's not that. This one is like you're locked in because it sucks you into the movie.
And it's just a grisly, grimy experience.
It is.
You say that the first time I watched this was in middle school, and I brought it over to a friend's house for a Halloween party, because they're like, Mason, you like movies, what's a good scary movie?
Which friend was this?
Josie Pence.
Whoa.
Because she was dating my buddy Marco.
Yep.
And they're like, oh, Mason knows movies, have him bring over movies. I also live not far from Josie, so I was like, I can haul all of the movies you want over to your house, yes. And so I bring Texas Chainsaw Massacre. At that point, I had not seen the fucking movie. So I'm 12 years old with a bunch of other 12-year-olds that are kind of like, I kind of just want like a fun time, be able to like put it on in the background and like maybe smooch on my little middle school crush right now. Nope. I put in Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and everyone was like the movie ended, and I was like, people are gonna like. A lot of people left already. Like after that, like right away, I was like, I killed this. I'm so sorry. I didn't know what we were getting into. No one was like. I don't think that this movie's like overly frightening. Like I don't think that the movie's like that scary to me. At least it hasn't been. I haven't watched it in a while, but I've seen it 3 times. And I'm like, it's not scary, but it's effective in what it sets out to do. Mm-hmm. Even then in middle school, I was like, it wasn't scary, so we didn't get that enjoyment out of it. And also, everyone kind of has a stomachache now, and people are going home. Like, I was like, yep, don't invite me. I'm so sorry.
It is just really a grisly movie for sure. Again, kind of similar to Tron, with how we talked about like the namesake of the franchise. There's only one kill with a chainsaw in this movie.
Yeah,
it's kind of interesting. It's the crippled kid, so
yeah, that feels bad.
Franklin, I think his name is. That sucks. Sorry, bud.
I don't know the name of that actor, but he's maybe one of the better performers in the movie too, which is crazy.
Yeah, it is a very essential horror movie to watch. And one very funny part that isn't supposed to be funny, but just towards the end. The main girl, Sally is the character's name. She escapes the house, she goes to the gas station, she's trying to get out, and this old dude there, played by Jim Seadow, he just starts beating her with a broom as he's just trying to like get her hands tied up. And I'm like, whoa, this is a wild movie. But it's certainly an important one. So glad that I've seen it now. Like I said, I'm not going to toss this one on all the time, but if I'm in a specific mood, certainly will hit that. I also watched the sequel, Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, also directed by Tobe Hooper. This one takes a dip in quality for sure. It's a very strange movie. You don't get any of the returning characters aside from Jim Seadow, who plays the old man.
The poster for this movie should tell you enough as to the shift it takes. I haven't seen this movie, but like from what I've heard and the poster, this is a different.
It's a very Breakfast Club-esque poster.
Yeah.
It gets a little bit more goofy, gets a little bit more campy. You have Dennis Hopper in this movie, who's very underused for like the first half of it, and he's playing this like former Texas Marshal who's kind of hunting down the family in Texas Chainsaw, the cannibal family. because his speaking of the crippled kid, I think probably shouldn't call him that, but I think Paul probably a better way to say that, Corey. Good job. But Paul Pertain, the kid who gets killed by a chainsaw in the original movie, that's like his nephew, and the main girl's his niece. I think that was the relationship. So he's like their uncle, kind of hunting after this family, and he's trying to help this radio host who's getting victimized by the cannibals, and it's very strange. I don't even know where to start with this, because
you seem so excited.
It's very interesting. I didn't dislike this movie, but a large chunk of it does take place underneath this old abandoned amusement park, like in these tunnels. So to start off with things I liked about it, the aesthetic of underneath in these tunnels, there's like a lot of skeletons up, there's cobwebs. Again, it's very much like the first movie. You feel it a lot, and they also have a lot of great makeup work by Tom Savini, who is a legendary special effects prosthetics. He worked on like the Night of the Living Dead, that franchise, Day of the Dead, and all that. And he's done so much great work in Hollywood. And there's a really great scene with like a character being forced to wear somebody else's face as they're like tied up, and like the Leatherface is like tormenting them. So some memorable things for sure. But it does get really just goofy and silly and kind of loses the vibe of that original one. There's a part where Leatherface is using his chainsaw as a dick, and he's just like kind of on the inner thigh of the radio host, played by Carolyn Williams, and then he it starts as he's going, and it's a wild sequence.
I found a review on IMDb from Young Colin D. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre 1 is to Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 what Alien is to Aliens. Is this the Aliens of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre?
Not at all. That's an awful review.
Oh, I think it might be good. I'm gonna keep reading it.
That's because to me, that's like those are two great movies, and these are not two. Well, the first one's great. This one is not great. But there's a lot of weird stuff in this movie. It doesn't quite work, but
some of the shit you're saying is kind of selling me on this movie.
It's like fun enough. Like, I didn't dislike it at all. Like I said, it's an interesting watch. It came out 12 years later in 1986, so kind of crazy to think like how long it took for the in between sequels or in between the movies. So didn't entirely work for me. It has some good makeup work, has some good production design in there for sure, but it's just coming off of that first movie and kind of having that expectation. I think this movie will set the expectation for the sequels, because I have not seen any of the other ones.
I haven't seen the most recent one, the Netflix one.
From like 3 years ago,
I heard it was dick. Like, I heard it was so bad. Which I feel like every time that they do a new attempt in this franchise, it's always met with, wow, that is atrocious. Like, why do they keep doing this? But except for maybe, like, there's one that Matthew McConaughey's in? I don't know. I don't know much about this franchise aside from the first one, so I'm excited for you to kind of be able to be the guinea pig and watch through them all and report back to me.
I'm excited to like watch the franchise. I'm going to try and watch like 2 or 3 a week, kind of lead up to Halloween. Yeah. So yeah, fun to watch through the 2 Tobe Hooper Texas Chainsaw movies this week. Love the first one. Second one has good things, but it takes a dip in tone and in quality.
This doesn't fit in with the Texas Chainsaw Massacre movies, but I would recommend this to you. Is Tobe Hooper did a movie called Funhouse in the 80s, and I think it's also showing randomly at some theaters near us just because it's October. Check that out. That's kind of a fun movie, and I like Tobe Hooper. I did do a whole paper on Tobe Hooper in college. It was mostly covering like Poltergeist and like did he direct it or did he not? Right. And it was like okay, but I'm honestly you kind of like. I don't think you intentionally sold me on Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, but I'm like, I might have to check this out. So maybe I'll report on that one specifically, and then maybe I'll watch the Netflix one. But I like Dennis Hopper enough to where I'm like, that could be. I like the setup of this potentially.
I was interested with him being like a family member going after that.
I'm like, I like this.
They don't dive into that at all. It's very much like the opening scene of like who this is,
and then the framing device.
And then he's just there, and he just buys chainsaws and has like 2 strapped on his waist. And then 1 big one.
Okay,
and then
he's campy as fuck.
Yeah, and he doesn't they don't dive deep into like, you killed my family or whatever. They forget about that, so. It's fun to see Dennis Hopper in a Texas Chainsaw movie, though.
Yeah, I might have to check this one out. Cause like I said, you kind of sold me on this one. Into TV talk a little bit this week. It was the finale, the last episode of season 2, or maybe all of Peacemaker.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, spoiler alert. We are going to talk in depth as much as we can about what went on in this episode, which there's not going to be much to spoil because this episode kind of dry as fuck. It played out like a long epilogue for me. There are some positive things, I will say. Like, it wasn't, like, horrible, but there wasn't much there for me to be like, yeah, this should be a 50-minute episode at the end of a show, at the end of the series or season. So I sat down really excited this week because I feel like a lot of the conversation has been about who are potential cameos that we might get. Big star-studded DC altering cameos that we might get in this show, in this final episode. And also, how are we going to kind of, like, we kind of set up a thing to be resolved with Chris Smith and his kind of downtrodden nature of, like, everyone near me dies. Like, how are we going to resolve that in one episode? Which, in the last week's episode, I'm like, it's kind of late to really, like, nail that down and introduce that. But, all right, we can run with it, I guess. So there's things to kind of somewhat resolve. And we had a 50-minute runtime for this episode, I believe, without the credits. So I was excited to see kind of what fun can we have. And holy shit, did nothing really happen here. Like, there's a couple of good moments between Chris Smith and Harcourt. And then there's also a good scene between Ads and Peacemaker in a hotel room of, like, them being like, no, you matter, and you're a good guy, and that's good, and now you matter because of us, and yeah, I know everyone doesn't die, it's not your fault, yeah, we love you, and oh, you're happy now, everything's good, all right, and end of the show. Corey, what did you think? What are your thoughts, first thoughts, negatives, positives on episode 8 of season 2 of Peacemaker?
Very interesting season of TV.
Yeah.
I do want to start off with positives because I feel like I'm going to get into more negative stuff, but I do want to build off what you said with those couple great scenes. I do like that we get the flashback to the boat. We've heard about the boat, and he's like, did that mean anything to you?
Did that matter?
You want to know what that actually happened, what happened there. So I like that scene a lot. I like them just in that diner, just eating, just like joking around, having fun, singing. They go to this concert. James Gunn has so many concerts in this fucking episode, and it's really him just being like, this is my playlist, and now I'm going to spend like 10 minutes total of this 50-minute episode at a concert scene. I like it once. I think it works well for the flashback initially.
Yeah,
cool. I think that works.
The first one, yes.
Yeah, I'm like, yeah, that works. I like it. But you get more of Harcourt and Peacemaker and their relationship, which I think has always been one of the stronger elements to the show. I do love that hotel scene where they're all together and Adebayo just kind of like locks them in, and she's like, "Hey, we're all here for you. We're all kind of a mess, but we all bring each other together. Mm-hmm. We're the 11th Street kids. We build each other up." And all of our flaws, like, we can accept those about each other. We had that with Harcourt where she's like, in a couple episodes ago, she's like, I'm a mess, like, you don't want me. And Chris is like, no, I want you still. Like, I like that, yeah. So I thought that was one of the best scenes of the season for sure. Also really liked Adebayo's scene with her wife, I believe it is, when they kind of have a breakup.
That was good,
It's kind of... It plays to the structure, which we'll get to in a second of this episode, but it's thrown in at a random time, kind of. But I like the scene where she's just like, both of what our dreams are going to hold each other back. Like, we can't be together and be happy with what we want to do. So I thought that scene was well acted by Danielle Brooks. She's always been great in the show.
Yeah.
So, like, it's very interesting because this finale doesn't have a lot of big action, doesn't have a lot of other, like, huge memorable things that happen, but there are still some good character moments in there. Kind of moving into my negatives with this one is, it's kind of what we talked about last week. I was worried of setting up future DCU stuff, which I did not want to happen. And that's a big chunk of this episode, where it's Argus discovering the doors. They're trying to go through these portals. They go into this fucking lollipop world with little imps or whatever.
Fucking Candyland, dude.
It's Candyland. Like, they're doing that. There's just like all these weird different worlds. They're trying to find a spot for salvation to put all these metahumans. Obviously, Lex Luthor is behind that. And so we get a lot of that, which I just really didn't give a fuck about.
I didn't care for it at all. I didn't find it interesting, and I was also like, this is what we're spending our time with. Like, we're not... Like, this this episode is very much almost a 50-50 split between the Argus shit continuing on and doing this development of trying to figure out these alternate dimensions, as well as a 50-50 split from Chris Smith and like the main story of what this has been about. And I'm like, why the fuck are we just like forking this in the road to try? Because all the Argus stuff is a transition, I feel like, now into, this is the thing that's going to have ramifications to the DCU. Sure, we get quiet moments and some good moments with Chris in the 11th Street Gang, but Argus is doing this, and Rick Flag is having kind of a heavy heel turn of, he's kind of turning into a little bit of a mustache twirling villain, and it's like, okay, well, like I liked you best when you had a vendetta against the guy that killed your son, but you're a good commander, like you work well. So I'm like, give me, like, don't just, I don't know. This episode felt like a reduction of the characters I've grown to really appreciate throughout this show, and specifically this season, of like, and now you're going to be bad and you're going to go set up to do these things, and Chris Smith, all of your emotional development that's going to resolve all of this conflict that you're having in innards, all your inner turmoil you're going through, we're going to resolve that in one hotel scene and then flash to 1 week later, and then, you guys are all happy now. It's just like, it felt so clunky, and it felt more like, I feel like you could have taken the best chunks out of this episode, which were the ones that focused on the 11th Street Gang and the resolution of those arcs and where they end up in this at the end of this episode. I think you could have just tacked on the 25 minutes of that to last week's episode, and you probably could have smoothed out a lot of the roughness of this, and I would have liked it a little bit more, because I'm like, after a certain point, Argus gets this dimensional door, and I don't give a fuck what they do with it. Like, fine, cool, I don't care. I care about Chris Smith. I care about the 11th Street Gang.
Yeah.
So, just felt like we were just running in place. Like, I'm like, what are we doing here? What's going on?
Just the season as a whole. I mean, we talked about the first 4 or 5 episodes is like Argus going after Chris, the same things happening, and then we get 2 episodes, and the most interesting thing of this season, which I thought it was going to be about,
for like the whole latter half,
the Earth X, Earth 2 stuff, which, again, like, a lot of that just kind of wrapped up quickly.
Episode and a half, yeah.
Even with, like, how, like, Peacemaker leaves Harcourt in that universe, like, there's no resolution to that. Because, like, they were talking, he's like, yeah, we can make things work, we can do it, and that's when he was going to stay there. But then when the other Harcourt comes back, he's like, all right, fuck you, I'm leaving. It's like, well, build that out a bit. Yeah. Like, that's somebody where, like, it's the same person, but, like, we should have spent more time there, I think, because this last episode, it really did feel like an epilogue. Last week's episode felt like a finale more so, like, get him back out, everything kind of wraps up there, throw over the door. But this one just felt like it was speedrunning through, like, the Argus stuff, and then, like you said, just one really good scene, but we could have used more of it in that hotel room. Just a weird season that I think kind of worries me a little bit for the future of the DCU. Not to be like, one episode is, worrying me a lot, but just of, like, knowing how we've done a few of these, like, projects so far and building up the universe. I would like to have more singular stories and arcs completed within one movie, like with Superman and a show with Peacemaker Season 2, because I think Season 1 did that really well.
Yeah.
I think Peacemaker Season 1 is easily better than the second season. Like, it's not even close for me. But it just was an odd finale that I was just kind of like, okay, they set up Salvation, Peacemaker's there, which I don't even hate that ending. I think that's fine, because it's like a Rick Flag, it's vendetta, so it kind of ties in. And then, but they, like, set up the Checkmate, like, security service or whatever, like the 11th Street kids do. Yeah. I guess Judo Master's there with Tim Meadows, and
always just random showing up. I feel like,
I don't know.
I don't understand how this show, or at least specifically this season, has continued on the Judo Master character to keep it try to keep that character relevant, and also introducing Tim Meadows, who I'm like, this just is such a subsidiary character, secondary, doesn't matter. Like, his role could be just diluted and given off to every other Argus person, or give his weird off-brand humor to one person, and it's fine. Like, just cut out. Like, I liked Tim Meadows, but he did not. It just felt so tacked on at the end.
The humor did not work for me in this season.
No.
Animal facts? I don't give a fuck about animal. That's not funny.
I will say the Tim Meadows thing with Vigilante, just like Vigilante being like, I know everything about spiders, and Tim Meadows is like, did you know this? And he's like, yeah. And he's like, well, I'm lying to you. It's not there. And he's like, oh. Like, he's just like, wait a minute. And he's like rolling his chair. I'm like, that kind of worked for me, but overall, Tim Meadows' humor in this show, just, it felt too much like, and we're gonna derail the, like, what the standard MCU complaint about humor is derailing a scene that should be emotional or should be something dramatic with humor. I feel like it was done a lot in this show, especially the season 2, where it's like Tim Meadows was just like, I'm going to egg on, like, we're just going to tack on a full back half of this scene where it's 2 minutes of me ad-libbing about fucking my bird blindness, which in hindsight, like, I liked it at the time, but I'm like, this doesn't go anywhere. Like, where the fuck are we doing? Like, we're wasting time to get to nowhere. Like, what's happening? I almost would rather have the ending for these characters, which, like, granted, I don't know where we're going with this show, and this might be a little bit of an unfair complaint because it's like, I think this is better because it's my idea. And it's not what they gave me. But I almost think for the character, you end Chris Smith's character in that spot of being in prison. You don't have him get out, because they resolve that mighty fucking quick. Oh, hey, remember all that money at the bottom of Vigilante's fucking childhood house basement? We'll use that. We'll pay out his bail, and he'll be free again. It's like, is that something that Argus is really going to allow if this man is fucking Christopher Smith, the piece? Like, that's just what they're going to... Okay, fine, whatever. It just resolved it way too quickly. I think it works to... Hey, Rick Flag has got him in his sights. He's in prison. He's where he can see him all the time. He knows he can ruin his life. I'm like, that fits. And I think going into either a potential season 3 or just continuing on the Peacemaker story, because I know James Gunn loves Peacemaker and wants to make him important, and I appreciate that and I really like it, but I think you can continue on the Peacemaker story in the DCU of him being in prison and him just feeling like he is a train wreck and he's wrecked things. I think that there are things that could come out of that really well with the 11th Street Gang and whatever down the road that I'm like, I feel like we just kind of cut it in the end and just cut off its head before it really developed. And I was just, I don't know, it felt like there was no clear-cut plan in this season. And the epilogue nature of this episode where it was just like closing out this plot line, this is what's happening next. Now we're leading into the future of the DCU, and Chris Smith is in Salvation. It's like, it didn't feel complete to me.
Yep.
In what I want in a season 2 of a show that I loved the first season of. So I overall, like, I still really like this show. I still really like this season, but I think it bunted when it could have swung for the fences and maybe hit something. So it was just a bit of a disappointment, especially this last episode. I think, like, overall, the episode to episode of season 2 has mostly worked for me. This is the one, while watching it, I was like, no, they missed.
Yeah, it's. I think it's more frustrating because James Gunn has said that season 3 isn't officially happening. He's like, never say never, but it's not going to be soon. We'll say that at least. And that's so frustrating because this story is incomplete. Like, Chris is in Salvation, and now it feels like it'll just be like an offshoot mention in a movie where, like, oh, he gets out. And then it's like, no, that's like another season of TV of him trying to get out, and the 11th Street Kids trying to find him. It's like, I don't want his story to be resolved in a fucking Lobo movie or some bullshit.
I honestly feel like, kind of talking about what you've brought up about the Man of Tomorrow, I think that they'll acknowledge or do something with Salvation in Man of Tomorrow, and there'll be some sort of element of, like, we need to go here because Brainiac or some, I don't know, whatever plot element. And I feel like they run into Peacemaker just because of how much James Gunn loves Peacemaker. He'll make it a plot point. And I'm like, I don't know if I need that.
I want that movie to be a Superman and Lex movie.
Yeah, like, I'd rather Peacemaker's story be as resolved as possible. So if we never saw him again, his story's complete.
Yep.
It feels like now we just left it open, and I'm sure he has a plan because I like James Gunn. This episode might be my least favorite James Gunn thing I've ever seen. Like, I like Slither, I like Super a lot. I think that movie's really underrated for how depressing it is, and I like all of his movies. I think this is his worst at bat, and it's also interesting to see that season 2 of Peacemaker, or Peacemaker as a whole, is something that in interviews he's consistently saying is the thing he's most proud of, and that he connects with most. And I'm like, well, it's the one that's, like, really kind of missing with me, as of lately at least. So I wish that they could have done a better job at just, let's resolve this storyline, especially if we're not continuing the story in another season. If it's just going to bleed into the DCU overall, I'm like, I don't know if that's the best way to run this. Like, I think the way, like, not that everything has to be Marvel, but the way the MCU was so good is they did, yes, bleed into each other, but they focused on, hey, first Avenger, this is about Cap, and he ends this movie fucking frozen. Like, he's where he's at. Like, I think that the MCU did a good job at just establishing characters and doing their own separate stories, and they tied them together in the Avengers.
Yep.
As opposed to where this is like, it already feels like we're like Phase 3 Marvel in the first startup of the DCU where they're trying to bleed it all into each other. I'm like, just give some things its own time. Just let it breathe, let it be, and we'll get there when we get there. We don't need to all lead into something, and that's fine.
100%.
So, and I like the show. I like Peacemaker Season 2 overall. Season 1 is massively better, though.
Yeah.
So, a little bit of a miss, but I'm kind of sad that now with Alien Earth wrapping up Peacemaker, we don't have like event television, at least in my eyes, for me to consistently watch week to week, because that's not something I typically do. Maybe I'll just go back to watching Dancing with the Stars and watch the Mormon wives women just killed on Dancing with the Stars. But the show that I have been catching up on, I have been watching through this fall, which has been just one of the biggest blessings in all of my life, is Twin Peaks. And I talked about it a little bit last week, but I was midway through season 2 last week. I think either on episode I just finished either episode 13 or 14 of season 2, which there's 22 episodes of season 2. So I watched the remaining 8, 9, 7, however many episodes of season 2. I watched them in like 2 days, and I just plowed through them. And season 2, season 1, the original run of Twin Peaks is such an interesting show, and it's a show that kind of gets bogged down with studio involvement of like, we need to reveal who the killer of Laura Palmer is before the creatives actually want to reveal that, and it kind of derails the show a little bit. There is, and I was telling this to you, Corey, before we started recording, there's like 6 episodes of content spread out the latter half of season 2 that could have been kind of erased, and you didn't necessarily need it. There's a whole plot line with one of the main characters, James, going to like some hussy's house and fixing up her car and being a part of like this potential affair, and it's just like, this is so unnecessary and unserving to the rest of the plot. Don't know what's going on here. But overall, I love this show. The finale is one of my favorite television finales. Can't say the same about Peacemaker Season 2, Episode 8, but Twin Peaks Season 2 was originally kind of a serious finale. There's some moments in that last episode where they acknowledge, hey, in 25 years, I'll see you again. And then they do the Return series in 2017, 25, 26 years later. So it's like, oh, wow, they really paid that off. That's really cool. But I love this show. Agent Dale Cooper, played by Kyle MacLachlan, is maybe my favorite fictional character of all time at this point. He's so lovable. He's so enjoyable to watch. He's just a really good quasi-detective. He's an FBI agent, and he just loves cherry pie and black coffee, and he has just this intuition about things, and there's an aspect of the show that I've always loved, that he is consistently talking into a tape recorder to a woman named Diane, who we never fucking meet. He's just reporting on, like, Diane, this morning I had coffee and 2 pieces of bacon and 3 eggs. Diane, this person is a little weird, but I'm going to dive into that a little bit deeper. And it's just, we never meet Diane. And I'm like, I'm so intrigued by the setup of the show, the small town nature of Twin Peaks, even though it's a population of like supposedly 50,000 people. I'm like, I love the feel of the show. It's best watching it right now in the fall, even though I'm pretty sure the show takes place in spring. Love season 2. Can't wait to watch The Return, but there is some kind of homework to do before I get to that sequel series, which is Twin Peaks Fire Walk With Me, which was the movie prequel to the show that I originally wanted to watch, and that's the reason why I started watching this entire show in the first place, is because I'm doing a massive like David Lynch rewatch. Twin Peaks Fire Walk With Me is the prequel to the show. Everything that I've seen has been like, watch the show, or at least those first 2 seasons, and then watch Fire Walk With Me. And that is 100% right. Do it in that order, because there are so many things that get paid off weirdly and retroactively in the prequel to this series. And also the prequel, I was telling you this again before we started recording, this is one of the best prequels I've ever seen, because yes, we're going in with an understanding of what's going to happen at the end of this show, but it introduces so many added additional aspects that grows out the world to the front half, and it gives us new details that it makes this story still interesting, even though we know what is to come. And it's maybe some of the more surreal imagery you get in Twin Peaks, which is, it's coming from David Lynch, so it's going to be surreal. So I really loved the movie. It was so fucking fun. I watched it this morning with my wife in bed. It was the best Sunday morning. We had coffee in bed. Our dog was laying with us and just watching Twin Peaks, which my wife has not watched the show. She's seen it in passing. And I'm watching Twin Peaks Fire Walk With Me, which gets kind of fucking nutty at times and kind of creepy. And it's like 9 a.m. and she's just like, oh, why do you gotta watch weird movies in bed? I'm like, shut up. It's awesome. So I love this movie. I can't wait to continue on with this Twin Peaks franchise world. There is the deleted scene Missing Pieces, it's like a 90-minute feature basically cut together of deleted scenes from the movie and the show, I believe, that David Lynch put together. It fills out Twin Peaks a little bit more, which Twin Peaks is already really well established and filled out for me, but I'm excited to see more of information about it, so I'll check that out next. I'll also likely rewatch the pilot as well as the season 2 finale, and then I will move into the Return, or the sequel series that came out, I believe, in 2016 or 2017. So I fucking love this show. It's great. It's one of my favorite shows I've ever seen. If not, it's up there. True Detective season 1 is my favorite thing I've ever seen on television. This would supplant it if it wasn't for those 6 episodes of content in season 2 that I think you probably could trim out. But other than that, I think the show and the movie has been sensational. It's something I get super excited to watch, and it's weirdly comforting, even though it's about dark material. It's just it's like a warm hug from an uncle that has bad breath. It's like, oh wow, this is so nice. Oh, stop breathing on me. Oh, that's bad. Oh, that's bad. So I love watching this. I can't wait to continue on, and I'm sure I'll give you more updates as I go through it. But I'm really excited to, once I get the box set, because even though I have Paramount Plus and I've watched this show on Paramount Plus, I'm gonna buy the box set of the TV show, and then I'm happy to just lend you the box set and fire walk with me to hopefully get you to watch it a little bit. But I think you would actually really like this as well.
Oh yeah, hearing you talk about it every week gets me more excited to eventually check it out. So hopefully sooner rather than later, I will see that. We got a big release week coming out for new stuff. A few things coming out on Wednesday. The first of them being Ballad of a Small Player, which is the next movie from Edward Berger. He's done 2 great movies, and All Quiet on the Western Front and Conclave from last year. And again, this is another limited release coming to theaters for a bit before it drops on Netflix on October 29th. And movie stars Colin Farrell, and he is a high-stakes gambler, and his past and his debts start to catch up with him, and he's in Macau, and he encounters a kindred spirit who might just hold the key to his salvation. I've seen the trailer for this, I think, 1 time, so I don't really remember too much of it, but love Edward Berger, love Colin Farrell. I'm there, this Wednesday when it drops in theaters.
Yeah, it is a pretty busy week, and I have a busy weekend that I'm looking into, so I'm trying to already do the movie math of how the fuck am I going to catch a lot of these. Thankfully, this next movie is coming out on October 15th. It was Just an Accident, which is directed by Jafar Panahi. It is about a small mishap that triggers a chain reaction over ever-growing problems. It's a movie that I haven't heard much of, aside from the fact that it did win the Palme d'Or at the 2025 Cannes Film Festival, so it's kind of already getting a lot of that awards buzz, and I've heard a lot about it from that. So this, with it coming out on Wednesday, and a lot of the back half of this work week, I'm going to be out of town, so I'm maybe I can catch this one. So I'm excited to see this one. And I the Palme d'Or winners tend to go and have pretty dynamic runs in terms of the Academy Awards. So I'm this is already, boom, high at the top end of my list. I'll need to check this out in theaters. So I'm going to try and hopefully find a theater near us that's showing it. I'm hoping the Main. I feel like the Main would be the one to show it. But yeah. It was Just an Accident, releasing on October 15th.
I'm hoping this one sticks in theaters around for a while just because of how busy it is. Definitely want to catch this one. The big release coming out this Friday is Black Phone 2, not The Black Phone 2. I hate when sequels do that, by the way, when they don't put the.
They don't carry it over.
Like Incredibles did that. The Incredibles and Incredibles 2.
Also, I don't know if we've had this conversation on the podcast, but do you prefer for a movie to be The Blank 2, or would you rather have The Blank : subtitle?
I think I don't know. I guess it depends. I think probably just The Black Phone 2.
Okay.
I don't know. I guess subtitles are fine. Sometimes it just gets too long. You're I know what movie this is.
The Pirates of the Caribbean franchise.
You're I know what it is. I know
Stranger Tides, the fourth one?
Yeah.
I think overall I prefer that just because it makes it less feel like a material franchise of here's the fourth one. It's I get the numbering of it, but I like having the more of the creative titling. But then you get some just ass creative titlings, and it's I don't need that. Maybe just put the number on it.
I know from a marketing perspective they do it for making people feel like they don't have to watch the other ones. So if you do it Black Phone, The Resurgence or something, people are oh, I can go see this.
Creation,
Right, something like that. But anyways, that's our little nitpick about the word "the" before a movie and colons and subtitles. This movie, once again, comes from Scott Derrickson, who did the first Black Phone, also did Doctor Strange, Deliver Us from Evil, Sinister, The Exorcism Exorcism of Emily Rose.
Fantastic movie.
Yeah, I haven't seen that one yet, so
I might have to lend that to you.
yeah, I might have to watch that one. Obviously, good career in horror. I know he put out The Gorge earlier this year.
I didn't watch
Not really
that
a horror movie, but I heard okay things. Yeah. But Ethan Hawke is coming back as the Grabber, which is also what they called Mason in high school.
As soon as you said the Grabber out loud, I'm like, he's gonna throw this my way, and I was like, I'm already at the fucking receiving end of him because he's introducing this movie, so I just have to sit here and take it.
I think it was at the same Halloween party you mentioned. Like, people were trying to watch the movie, and they're like, "Oh, the Grabber's like behind me."
Yeah, Texas Chainsaw. He's sweaty, and now I'm sweaty because this guy's fucking
grabbing
me
me.
from behind.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I'm not even gonna try and backtrack out of it. Fine, yeah, I can be the Grabber for today.
But
Get over here. What if you say that I lunge across the fucking table?
Just mic down, lights down.
It'd be like the ending of Blair Witch when he's facing the corner, fucking dead.
Down. Anyways, the Grabber. Ethan Hawke plays him again, he was great in the original movie.
Yeah.
Mason Thames comes back as well. His character Finn is a little bit more grown up now, and I guess I won't spoil the end of the first movie, but this picks up in a more dreamlike and sort of surreal type way to continue this franchise, which I'm curious to see how they do. I don't know all the specifics of it, but
it looks very Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah, I like the grainy kind of old school look,
throwback,
which like Scott Derrickson did great with Sinister, which is my favorite horror movie of all time, with those old school tapes that they find. So I'm looking forward to this. Again, like, fun to watch a horror movie in October. I like the first Black Phone a lot. I'm excited to rewatch that one because I haven't seen it since theaters. So I'll definitely be seeing this one as well.
I've been waiting to rewatch the Black Phone because it being October, I want to. I'm not the biggest fan of it, but I am excited to rewatch it, and I'm really getting excited for the Black Phone 2 is the movie this week that I'm going to be for sure adamant that I'm seeing, just because it's a horror movie, but I am really excited to see that. The movie that I will likely skip this week, however, is After the Hunt. More of just a personal preference. Luca Guadagnino made the movie Challengers, and I think that's a hot pile of dog shit. But director Luca Guadagnino, director of also Call Me By Your Name, Suspiria, Bones and All, and Queer, which is also really good. This film is starring Julia Roberts, Ayo Edebiri, Andrew Garfield, and Michael Stuhlbarg, so it's a stacked cast, and the trailer is somewhat interesting. It follows a college professor who finds herself wrapped up in a personal and professional crossroads when one of her star pupil levels an accusation against one of her colleagues, and a dark secret from her own past threatens to come to light. So it's a lot of intrigue, a lot of he said, she said, pointing fingers and trying to, like, I need to help you, but if I help you, this might get revealed. Like, it's a lot of just playing relationship politics, basically. But directed by Luca Guadagnino, who Call Me By Your Name is one of my favorite movies I've seen probably in the last 10 to 15, or 15 years, whenever that came out. I love that movie. It's one of the only movies that the moment it ended, I restarted and watched it again from the beginning. I haven't really done that since I was a child. But this movie, I'm just not super sold on, so if I miss this one, it's fine. It falls through the cracks. Oh no, I don't get to see this movie. Oh no.
I'm excited for this one. This looks like a fun thriller that could have some cool twists and turns.
Could have a lot of good Oscar conversation.
Yeah, for sure. Julia Roberts is absolutely getting hyped up. Seeing Andrew Garfield and anything also is great. Ayo Edebiri, I mean, I love The Bear and everything else she's in. Michael Stuhlbarg, he's always popping up in Lucas stuff, so that's fun. So I'll probably try and see that one this week. Another one that I don't know just because of the busyness of this week I'll see, but I am excited to see at some point is Good Fortune, directed by Aziz Ansari. And it is about an angel named Gabriel, played by Keanu Reeves, and he's starting to meddle in the lives of a struggling gig worker, played by Aziz Ansari, and a wealthy venture capitalist, played by Seth Rogen. It looks pretty fun. It looks like a good little kind of comedy. Could have, a good little something to say about, how you live your life and what you make of it and all that.
Grass isn't always greener on the other side and stuff like that. I'm really excited for this movie just because of Keke Palmer. But I might... I again, doing the movie math, I've already looked at, like, what's releasing when and what theaters are showing it this week. So I'm like, I could maybe see this on Thursday. I could leave work a little bit early and catch it and then go up north. But I might try and check this one out. I do like Aziz Ansari, so I'm excited a little bit for this. And also, Keanu Reeves has been killing it in the trailers for this movie as Gabriel, so I'm pretty sold on that. Frankenstein, directed by Guillermo del Toro, is going to limited release. It will eventually expand out to a wide release on November 7th. Obviously coming from Del Toro, who has just a very massive horror back catalog of Pan's Labyrinth and The Shape of Water. This is starring Oscar Isaac, Jacob Elordi, Mia Goth, Christopher Waltz, James the Infinity Pool. That movie made my ears bleed a little bit. Mia Goth, settle down. This film is just a retelling of the Frankenstein story. We have Jacob Elordi being the monster, and I believe it is Oscar Isaac who is Dr. Frankenstein. So I am really sold on it. The trailers look gothic and dark and super expansive in a way that I'm like, yeah, I definitely should try and catch this in theaters. Why would I wait and watch this when it comes out on Netflix? I'm super excited. It's just going to be, I fucking hope I can try and find it in theaters while it's available, but just because now we got out of summer movie season where there's fucking 3 movies a week. We had like a couple of months where it was a little bit of a breather and you could maybe catch one or catch up on stuff. And now it's like, all right, well, awards talk, boys. Here we go. Here's fucking 4 movies at once. Enjoy. I'm like, fuck. Okay. So I'm going to try my best to see as many so we can kind of dive deep into a lot of these more kind of high contention awards talk movies, especially towards the tail end of the year. But I'm really excited for Frankenstein. I'm hoping to catch it in theaters.
Yeah, this one feels like it could be in some below-the-line categories, have a good chance. Production design, costume, makeup, maybe. All that stuff. So, yeah, excited to see another Del Toro movie in theaters for sure. Yeah,
moving into physical media roundup, I did already talk about Fire Walk With Me, but I did buy the Blu-ray Criterion just because it also includes the missing pieces, deleted scenes that I talked about. So that is going to be one of the next things I watch on that Criterion. It's a good release. It's really cool. I have a lot of the David Lynch Criterion releases, and I love him as a director. He's maybe top 3 favorite creatives of mine at this point, behind maybe Kubrick and Villeneuve. So I'm excited to add that to my collection, and I'm excited to really work out that fucking disc, watching all the deleted scenes and shit. That sounds so questionable. I'm really going to work out that middle hole of that disc.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. Relax over there, grabber.
What am I grabbing?
Yeah, okay. Well, we'll talk after. Joe Flacco on the Bengals.
We're watching that game, Joe Flacco on the Bengals, yeah.
As we're trying to see them come back against the Packers, which I hope they can do. That'd be great.
That's not looking pretty.
But anyways, coming out this week, a few big things. The Fantastic Four: First Steps, which is still my favorite movie of the year. I love it. I can't wait to buy it this week. Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning, another movie really liked.
So you can get Steelbook with the 4K of that.
I don't know. They released other artwork for the Steelbook, which it looks better.
Better than just blank.
Yeah, which I figured they would do. They missed the field goal. Fuck. Damn it.
This dude he made a 67, got iced, missed it following up, and then he's missed a field goal later on in the game to try and give them within a scoring potential. So, goddamn, that sucks.
Yeah, that blows. Fucking Packers. Anyways.
He's close too.
Weapons is also coming out this week. One I'm very excited to rewatch, see if my thoughts change, stay the same, and all that. Sketch also came out earlier this year and is coming out on Blu-ray this week. And then an older title, The Bone Collector, is coming out on 4K.
Yeah, I'm really excited to eventually get get Weapons and get Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. I'm probably gonna go with the 4K of Final Reckoning. Mm-hmm. I wish Warner Brothers would release 4K Blu-rays, so Weapons could be a 4K Blu-ray as opposed to just Blu-ray digital, 4K digital. But I'm probably going to get the Blu-ray of that, but I'm really excited to get some of those releases. Fantastic Four: First Steps, I'm getting the Steelbook on Tuesday, and then I think my F1 Steelbook is getting delivered on Wednesday, so I have a pretty good week in terms of movies. Moving into movie news, we're going to rapid fire through a lot of these stories, but the first one we kind of have to spend some time on. Sadly, weirdly enough, I spent a lot of the day yesterday doing a lot of yard work and preparing for a house party for a baby shower. And my brother-in-law was like, "Oh, Diane Keaton died." And I was like, "What? Like, the amount of deaths we've had this year has been just unsettling and upsetting. And we're just losing a lot of legends back to back to back. And she's still, to me, she was 79 when she passed, and that's still like young to me. Like, that's crazy. Diane Keaton did pass away though this past weekend. She currently won, or in the past won Best Actress for Annie Hall. She was also nominated for Best Actress for Reds, Marvin's Room, and Something's Gotta Give. She's most known for me, at least, with the Godfather trilogy. The Godfather is my favorite film of all time. She's also known for Father of the Bride 1 and 2 and the Book Club films, which have kind of sneakily become really good box office films, good middle-of-the-road box office movies. So it's a weird day, as it is almost every week when we get a famed celebrity, a legend, passing away. But yeah, this kind of like took me by surprise more than some of them, and really like made me like, damn, like how, like, who's next at this point? Like, we just keep losing people, and I love Diane Keaton, and we were talking about this before. It's like, she doesn't have the most, like, poster work, big blockbuster filmography, but she's so phenomenal in all the work that she has done. Corey, is there a favorite performance of yours, of Diane Keaton's, that you would be more likely to watch this week?
Annie Hall, for sure. I love that movie. I watched that, in college and just fell in love with it. One of my favorite rom-coms. She's incredible. And also just in the original Godfather, one of the most famous shots in any movie ever.
My favorite film ending.
The door closing on her as she's not a part of Michael Corleone, her husband, and the mob life going on. Perfect ending. It's a very, quick shot of her, but still, it's just a very memorable shot, and it's largely in part because of her.
Well, yeah, to be one of the few main female actresses in that film that's staffed and casted with Marlon Brando, Al Pacino, Robert Duvall, James Caan. You're going up against heavy hitters, and to hold your own entirely and to continue on. She's one of the few characters that really continues on throughout the entirety of that trilogy, and she is such a crucial part as to the success of the Michael Corleone character arc, and her character being a part of that is so crucial, and she's so lovable in that movie. I like the opening of that movie when they're at the wedding, and Michael, played by Al Pacino, is telling her I'm not like these people. I'm not like my family. I'm an honest guy, and Kay Adams is just kind of an optimistic, she's kind of just happy and doting and oh, okay, no, they seem fine, and for what her character is to become, it's just only few select actresses I feel could really take that on, and it's another one of those actresses, Diane Keaton, her passing away. It's just fuck, that's one of the actresses that I'd associate whenever I saw her in movies, it made me think of my mom for some reason, and maybe it's the Sally Field effect where she's so lovable and she's so witty and charming in everything that she sets out to do. So it's a sad day, it's a sad weekend where we lose Diane Keaton, but again, we're getting to the point where it's a little bit of a celebration where we can look back at their acting legacy. So I will maybe watch my favorite movie of all time this upcoming week in remembrance of Diane Keaton.
And also, her and Al Pacino do great work in Godfather Part 3, which is not a very loved movie and forgotten and kind of clowned on a little bit for a lot of the acting in there, but those two are not... There's no question. There's no question about that. There's so much good work between their two characters in that movie. So, Diane Keaton, an absolute legend. She'll be missed, but like you said, we can celebrate through her work. Moving into some movie news from this week, we had a couple trailers come out for a couple shows coming out in January. One that I'm excited for. One is A Night of the Seven Kingdoms, which is the next show in the Game of Thrones kind of universe. We've had House of the Dragon as a spin-off before. Night of the Seven Kingdoms takes place about 100 years before the events of Game of Thrones, and it follows Sir Duncan the Tall and his squire Egg, and that's real.
I don't know anything about Game of Thrones.
That's real. But it's kind of their journey through Westeros, the mainland there, as the Targaryen dynasty and the dragons are flying around. So it could be a fun little side character as the main kind of Targaryen family story is going on. I've really enjoyed the first 2 seasons of House of the Dragon. I do get a little worried with doing too many spin-offs and too many. House of the Dragon felt like a very natural way to go. This one, I hope, is good. I just don't know that it can live up to a lot of the heights of those other 2 series. The other trailer we got was Wonder Man, which is coming out on January 27th. This is a very interesting trailer. I don't know much about Wonder Man at all. It's a Marvel character, and it seems to be very meta of Yahya Abdul-Mateen, auditioning for this role of a superhero in a movie. And you get Ben Kingsley as Trevor Slattery in the trailer. We saw him in Shang-Chi most recently. And it doesn't look like it's following a typical superhero route, I guess. I don't really know where this is going, which is sort of exciting. It could be just a cool series that's like a Marvel comic, but not superhero action, big third act or, finale kind of lasers and sky beams and all that kind of shit. So, very curious about this one. I don't know what to make of the trailer, really. It's a long trailer.
It is, yeah.
There's a lot of shit they show in there, but I do like Yahya Abdul-Mateen a lot. I'm very happy to see him in the MCU. Just curious about what this is.
Yeah, I was kind of selfishly hoping that this Wonder Man show wouldn't get made with him, just because when they inevitably have to recast Blade because Mahershala Ali is getting too old to be in this movie that has still not had any active movement on. I was hoping that they could maybe like make him Blade, because I'm like, that'd be great casting too. But yeah, it's kind of an interesting trailer. The thing that kind of bums me out, not within the trailer, is just that it's an likely 8 episodes. I think they're roughly going to be 30-minute run times is what they released regarding the show. And I'm like, that's... Fuck it. All right, fine. Thanks, Disney+. But yeah, we have that to look forward to. I'm hoping that it just kind of keeps itself a little bit separate from like most of like the overarching MCU, which it looks like it could be. We also have New York Comic Con going on, and Marvel Animation did have some kind of major announcements. We will be getting a second season of Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, which I didn't even finish the first season, but I did overall, like from what I saw, I enjoyed it. That will be releasing in the fall of 2026. A show that I fucking loved in X-Men 97. Season 2 will be releasing in summer of 2026, and they did announce that a Season 3 will be also in the works. Daredevil Born Again Season 2 will be premiering in March of 2026. Vision Quest, yep, it's still fucking coming, and that's coming out in 2026. A show that, like, at this point, I don't know what I need or if I need it. That's kind of my overarching feeling towards a lot of the Disney Plus shows, but... or Disney Plus Marvel shows, but that is still on the docket for 2026. So I'm excited to see Vision eventually, because I do like that character. But Corey, any takeaways or anything that interest you?
I really enjoyed the first season of Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. Just perfect for what it was. Fun little animation. I liked it. I'm pumped for season 2. I think they're going to bring in Venom and Gwen Stacy and some other characters, which is fun. X-Men 97, I actually, probably a couple years ago now, started watching X-Men the animated series. And I got through the first season, and I think I'm like in season 2, but it's been so long since I've watched it. But I really dug it. I watched it in prep for X-Men 97 and just never kind of finished it. But I will absolutely finish through that original series and then watch the first season, because I've just heard amazing things about it. And
Very fun.
Can't wait to see it. Daredevil Born Again Season 2. Hope that they can correct some of the wrongs from the first season and have a bit more focused vision. Speaking of Vision, Vision Quest, it seems to be closing out this kind of WandaVision trilogy, they've said, of like WandaVision, Agatha All Along, and then this. We get James Spader back as Ultron. That's cool. I don't know where this is going. I guess we'll see White Vision flying around.
Talking about ships.
Yeah, who knows? We'll see. A little bit of news. We got an announcement that a sequel to a Minecraft movie is going to be coming out in July of 2027.
Fuck yes.
You know, that movie's sat pretty well with me from earlier this year. It's a fun time. I've never played Minecraft a second in my life, but I had an okay time with the movie. Jack Black was fun. Jason Momoa was having a good time. Again, Daniel Brooks also in that movie, which was good. So I'm down for a sequel, and I'm sure it'll make a lot of money again.
Oh, fuck yeah. Bring everyone back. Run it back. Let's do it again. I'm there for it opening weekend, hopefully with my nephew and my older brother, just because that was such a fun viewing experience this past year. So I'm sold on that. Give me a Minecraft movie, whether it's Piece 2 or Part 2 or whatever. I can't wait for that. Sadly, it's in 2027. I'm like, oh my god, that year's not real. So we got some time, but I'm happy that they've announced that officially. We did get randomly a couple of Oceans movie updates as well this past week. George Clooney said that Oceans 14 will likely start filming next year. David Leitch has been attached to direct, and Julia Roberts, Matt Damon, Brad Pitt, and Don Cheadle are expected to return. But also not just Oceans 14, a prequel set in Europe decades before Oceans 11 has also been announced, starring Bradley Cooper and Margot Robbie potentially, with Lee Isaac Chung directing and Carrie Solomon writing. I've seen for sure Ocean's 11. I haven't seen the original one with like Sinatra and the Rat Pack, but I've seen the Soderbergh Ocean's 11. I don't know if I've seen 12 or 13, but I've seen one of those, and I've seen Ocean's 8. I overall like the franchise. Ocean's 11 is the best one. I don't know if I need 2 new movies in this franchise. That's kind of, I think, ran its course at this point, but it's hard to say no to that type of an ensemble with like Brad Pitt, Matt Damon, George Clooney, Julia Roberts. Like, fuck yeah, okay, fine. Like, let me go have fun at theaters with like the best group of people. Sure, why not?
Yeah, Ocean's 11 is one of the best heist movies, one of the best remakes of all time for sure. And you know, I don't need a 14 really. It's kind of weird that they did like Ocean's 8 and then it seemed like they were setting up like Oceans 9 and 10 to connect.
Build, yeah.
But I guess we're not doing that right now.
Oceans 7 and Oceans 14.
Yeah, like, the prequel sounds kind of interesting. It seems like it could be, like, old school, like, Italian Job.
Yeah, isn't that potentially about... I've heard that it's about, like, the Ocean's parents. Like, it's about George Clooney's parents.
Oh, okay.
And I'm like, okay, so it's like Bradley Cooper and Margot Robbie, which I don't know if that's, like, confirmed or if that's just speculation about what the story's going to follow, but I'm like, okay, like sure.
There's
All right,
some
fine.
fun directors attached, which that gives me a little bit more hope. We got an update. I think earlier this year, Disney had said that the live-action Tangled was not happening after Snow White didn't do well. A few of the other ones didn't do too good. But I guess it's moving forward again. Michael Gracie, who did The Greatest Showman, he's in talks to direct. And then Scarlett Johansson also in talks to star as Mother Gothel. I don't know. I actually really like Tangled. I think that movie's really good and sort of underrated in a weird way. But again, we don't need a live-action Tangled. It was done so perfectly and so good in the original animation. There's just, like, not much you could do to be like, yeah, this is the version I'll watch instead.
Yeah, I typically poo-poo all these fucking Disney live-action remakes, although I do like Michael Gracie as a choice for a director for this film, and Scarlett Johansson being attached, it's like, all right, well, I'm kind of sold on that, too. I love Tangled. I don't need this movie, but you could also say that about any movie getting made, like, it's not necessarily essential or necessary, but these live-action remakes are starting to just fucking really grow tired for me, so I'm just at this point, I'm like, maybe I'll see it, maybe I won't. Like, those are the movies that I don't feel that bad about missing out on. So, fuck it. Make as many as you want. I just probably won't go see them. Heat 2, which they've talked about for a long time, I feel like, is finally moving forward from Warner Brothers to United Artists, a division of Amazon M Studios. Jerry Bruckheimer and Scott Stuber are set to produce, and Michael Mann will direct the film. Potentially Leonardo DiCaprio, Austin Butler, Adam Driver, and Bradley Cooper are circling this project. I know that a big conversation as to what's been the holdup on this film, because there's been a lot of like conversation about it lately, has been the budget. And I think Michael Mann was like, I want like $250. It's like, you want $250 million for this fucking cop movie? Like, settle down. Like this little crime caper movie.
Warner Brothers said, I don't know
fucking
about
settle
that.
down, dude. Like, it's gonna be a legacy sequel so long in the making. But I know that there's a Heat 2 book that I think maybe Michael Mann had a hand in writing. So, and I've heard that that's actually pretty good. So I'm excited to see a continuation or a prequel. I don't even know what the fucking story is. This could be like a Godfather Part 2 where it's a prequel and a sequel at the same time. I don't know. But sure, if Michael Mann feels really passionate about making a movie still today after, I feel like, what was Ferrari was the last thing he
pretty good. It was all right, yeah.
So I'd be sold on it. I'd go check it out. I'm just more of like, let's nail down a cast. Let's figure out a budget. Don't make a stupid like decision in terms of trying to make this a big blockbuster thing, because it's not. But you know what? Fine. Go ahead. Why not? Make a Heat 2.
Yeah. I've only seen Heat once, and I remember liking it, but not loving it.
Yeah.
And so I'm very curious to give it a rewatch before this comes out to see if my opinion changes at all. But yeah, said that Val Kilmer can't be around to be in it.
Didn't think about that.
But yeah, I don't know. Like, is Pacino and De Niro, like, what are we?
Don't bring them back.
It feels.
I love
we're
them, but
getting there.
don't. Like, that's just, you're gonna make
Irishman was pushing it.
Yeah, you're gonna make De Niro throw a punch and act like he's like fucking 20 when he's definitely not. It's like, that dude, I heard like springs fall out. It's like he's not moving.
Put him behind a desk for a scene or two.
Have him be like a person they go to and I don't know the story, but like have him just be like someone there to kind of help deliver the story and get the characters from point A to B. Don't have him drive the plot. Anyways, thanks for joining us for another episode of Slate Night Film Fan Podcast. Be sure to follow us on Instagram or TikTok. I put out a fuck ton of reviews randomly on like a Tuesday or Wednesday this past week, just because it's easy to just throw a bunch out all at once. But also check out Corey's TikTok. I know he's been posting reviews and stuff there. In film, it's not just about what's on screen. It's also about who's next to you in the theater.
From the Grabber and I at Slate Night,
Grabber.
That's a wrap.
Grabber.